Salutations to everybody. Happy Monday. You know what it is. It's me, LEG Grown. If you don't know, now you know. And we gotta applaud some people, y'all. We gotta applaud some people. Weekend was playoff. Let's talk about it. Who would have ever thought that the offseason, when Philadelphia lost, they lost in the playoffs last year, and they went in the offseason, and they evaluated a lot of things. And a couple of things that they evaluated was a couple of things. One, was they going to retain DeAndre Swift, keep him? Because he did all right from coming from Detroit to come over there with the Lions. They thought all these Georgia Bulldog players was going to take him over the hump. But that wasn't the case. Yes, he was a good player, but they let him walk because they saw someone in the free agency that saw that he was going to be a free agency because the organization thought he was not worth the money he should get. They was willing, this is what baffles me. The player was willing to stay with the organization as retire as a Giant. Okay? He was willing to stay with the organization that drafted him and become an all-time Giant. And the Giant, at the time when he was a free agent, didn't want to pay him. They rather pay the quarterback $130 million. And now that quarterback ain't there no more because he asked himself to get released. This is the organization I had to deal with. So you didn't sign who you should have signed, your running back, and let your quarterback test the waters because you need to keep your pride possession. Everybody knew when he's healthy, he's the baddest mofo in the game. That's who you should have paid money for. When you didn't pay him money and you paid the quarterback, everybody that wasn't a fan of your team was like, oh, that was stupid. I would have paid him. Let the quarterback go test everything. If he's that dude. So that wasn't the case. And the fact that we saw the video, because y'all had the Hard Knock Lives, we saw the video of the whoever that dude is, to have a conversation and say all that stuff about Saquon. Oh, you done bumped your head. So Saquon said, how do I show him that I'm still that guy, that I ain't lost a step yet? I know I'm gonna go to our rival. You know, instead of going, he could have went to Dallas if Dallas thought he was enough money to afford him. I'm sure you could have did something if need be. But Philadelphia called and said, hey, I see you a free agent. How much you want? That man told him his worth. He said, come have a cup of coffee with us. Next thing you know, breaking news. Saquon signed with Philadelphia Eagles. I said, oh, man. So, this season was, I'm going to prove to y'all I'm still who I am. And what do you know? He led the league in rushing, led his team all the way to the Super Bowl, because that's where I ended up talking about anyway. The man took his team to the Super Bowl. All because of off-season. You called that man, asked him how he was worth, and you paid him something the other team didn't want to do. You paid him. You let another player that was good, you said, listen, man, we got Saquon. I wish the best for you. I hope everything works out. And they kept it moving. You know what I'm saying? You picked up some defensive players, some key defensive players. You got two young corners in the draft that contribute very quickly. Yeah, we didn't expect that to happen, but they got put in the game and they did what they had to do. And then you got the other team. That there's a possibility. It's a possibility. I know nobody likes to hear it. Everybody like, I don't like them. Listen, man. There's a possibility that they can break a history of being the first NFL team to three-peat. Do you understand that has never been done? The fact that they're going to the Super Bowl for the third time in a row and can possibly get a three-peat. That's crazy. That is super crazy. Now, of course, you know the world is voting for Philadelphia to win this. I'm not really. I could care less if they win or not. But if they do win, I know it was all for Saquon. And Saquon basically showed the world, do not ever sit there and think that a player is washed. If you know he's still in his prime and you think he just ain't got the juice for it, that's what can happen. That's exactly what can happen. If the player is motivated and is focused. If the player is motivated and focused, that's what can happen. That he can look at you and say, okay, this is what you did. This is your fault. This is your fault. I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna rub it in. And the sad thing is, he could have really been disrespectful. He could have literally, in the last game of the season, he could have rushed all over the New York Giants, and he decided not to be a team player. So you can't hate the man. I say that you cannot hate the man. I can't hate the man. The man that did. He wasn't cocky. He wasn't arrogant. He did his role. He played his job. He got into a system that worked for him. I mean, it was like watching him when he was in Penn State, almost. He was in a formation that he could just boom, 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 he could hit the hole or hit the cut back in, cut back out. They couldn't stop Saquon. Watching that game yesterday was like, damn. I mean, you want to say that Washington has a young, talented quarterback, but you can't mess up. You can't mess up like that. And they was fumbling, all that stuff. Yeah, it looked good going against Detroit and all that stuff. And Detroit dealt with a lot of injuries. So Philly was lucky for the most part not dealing with so much injuries. You know, it didn't hurt them as much as certain teams hurt. Just like the Rams, they got hurt with injuries. Detroit got hurt with injuries. So, I mean, you can't make no excuses. This is part of football. It is what it is. So, February 9th is locked in. You got Kansas City Chiefs versus Philadelphia Eagles. And let me say about the Kansas City versus Buffalo. I feel is that sometimes y'all try to move the goalpost for a player when sometimes it doesn't require him to move the goalpost. You wanted him to be the MVP of that game so badly that what was working for y'all stopped doing it. Y'all just stopped doing it. Your running back Buffalo's running back Cook was killing the game. They could not stop him. And what they do in the fourth quarter, they stopped giving him the ball. Why? I mean, y'all don't like the outcome of when y'all lose to them? I know it hurts y'all stomach that y'all be this close every time you face Kansas City. And you cannot get over the hump. All because you wanted to push Josh Allen to try to be the savior in the game. Did you not learn with Seattle Seahawks when they lost to New England of not just when they got down to the end zone to just run the ball instead of passing it to try to make Russell the MVP? Why? Because you didn't want to see that figure as the MVP. You didn't want to see his style of being the MVP in the game. That it wasn't marketable. Come on now. That man been your anchor all that time. And because of one play, he would have been MVP. He would have scored that touchdown, and y'all did not want to give it to him. Selfishness. And that's what I feel like Buffalo did. At the last minute, instead of giving the ball to Cook, you wanted Josh Allen to be your savior, and he did not deliver. Now, everybody going to argue me. I don't want to argue, because that's not what I'm saying is that you had a game plan. Your game plan, you should have just ran it with Cook. He was killing the run game. Let me tell you something with Kansas City. Now, people are really going to hate this. With Kansas City, if it ain't broke, they don't fix it. If the running game is working, Patrick Mahomes going to run that ball. He going to run that ball. He's not going to overthink it. If it's running, if it's working, he going to run the ball. And he'll switch a little bit, go to pass, but then he going to run the ball. If it's working with the play, it's throwing, then Patrick Mahomes going to throw. Okay? That's a choice that he see. And if sometimes he'll overcall the play. That's what makes him so unique. I know you want to get so upset with Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, but it's just, at this point, he does unique things that makes him the GOAT. I think this is it for Buffalo. They'll get to the playoffs, but I think this is it. And I said this to somebody else. I said, this might be the only chance that Buffalo has to go into the Super Bowl. I know Josh Allen is a good player, but I think that's going to be a wrap. You had this is the fourth chance you had against Kansas City, and you did not succeed. You did not succeed. You had them. Your defense was playing Your defense was playing good, but you did not succeed. You gave that man Patrick Mahomes that time, and everybody knows in NFL, out of anybody in NFL, you do not give Patrick Mahomes the ball and with a little bit of time. Come on, man. What are we doing? Gave that man 2 minutes. That man ran that ball, got it down the field, got first down, kicked the field goal, and that's all she wrote. And you see Josh Allen sitting on the bench. Ain't nobody else's fault but your fault, bro. So there you have it. Super Bowl rematch. Philadelphia Eagles versus Kansas City Chiefs. can Philadelphia get their lick back against Kansas City? This is a scary game, I tell you that. And all signs look like Philadelphia. If you want me to be honest, all signs look like Philadelphia. This is there to win it. All you need to do, as what you've been doing, give the ball to Saquon. That's all you need to do. Give the ball to Saquon, and you will win the Super Bowl. You don't do that. If you don't do your initial game plan, give the ball to Saquon, you will win the Super Bowl. If you don't do that, and you want to let Jalen Hurts throw, then you're going to lose. I'm telling you this now. And this is the last time y'all will hear me say this. If Philadelphia Eagles want to win, give the ball to Saquon. Okay? That sounds French. Saquon. All right? But Saquon. Give the ball to Saquon. Period. You want to win? Give the ball to Saquon. Period. All right? There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The talk of the town. 2 weeks, February 9th, Super Bowl in New Orleans. Kansas City versus Philadelphia. All right? You hear it first. Peace.